Hey, creative. I want to talk about the power of small actions. The power of small actions to help build your creative business. Taking small actions, consistent small actions in your business. I can't overstate this enough. Too often in business, and I don't know if this is everybody else, but I know creatives, I know the creative brain is that we are obsessed with perfection. we want everything to be exactly the way we see it in our head. Whether that's a painting or you're a cake decorator or you're an interior designer, you're a wedding planner, or you're whatever it is, video producer. We are so obsessed and so afraid to send anything to anybody that isn't absolutely perfect. And sometimes that sort of tyranny of perfection in our brain will stop us from taking action in the first place. You say, well, if I can't be perfect at it right out of the box, I just won't do it. I just won't do it. And what we do when we talk to ourselves like that, we will almost always compare ourselves to somebody else, and we'll go, well, this person does it. And man, oh my gosh, they're just perfect. They're so great. And they can't. And I can't ever be like that. Okay. Which is complete garbage. But this is what we do to ourselves. I'm not saying that the human brain, we're irrational. But I want to tell you two examples that I always go back to when I start to feel that, analysis paralysis, is that what they call it? Is that the catch term? Where you get inside your head and you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't perfect. I can't show this to a client. I can't put this I can't put this on social media. It's not perfect. The power of small actions, the power of at some point taking action and moving forward. Two great examples I always go back to. The first one is Lorne Michaels with Saturday Night Live, the guy who created Saturday Night Live and produces it and still does to this day, as far as I know. Now, Saturday Night Live's been on the air more than 50 years. They go on every Saturday night, live, right there in the name. So there's no redo, there's no take two. It's like you go out live. And there's a phrase attributed to Lorne Michaels. I hope he said it. If he didn't, doesn't matter, but it applies. He said, we don't go on the air Saturday night at 11:30 Eastern because it's perfect. We go on the air because it's 11:30 Eastern on Saturday night, and we're Saturday Night Live. Right? You ever seen a Saturday Night Live sketch that where they break up and laugh, or it's not that good, or whatever? Of course you have. Yeah, it's not perfect. But when you think about Saturday Night Live, what an impact it's had, how on your life, on my life, we all have our phase, our era, the ones we like the best on Saturday Night Live. Do you sit around worrying about the ones that were not perfect? Of course you don't. Sometimes those are the better ones. And so sometimes think of it like this. When you've fretted over a problem, you worked on it and you get hung up taking action. It's 11:30 on Saturday night and it's time to go on stage. Move forward, take the action. You will always be glad you did. Always be glad you did. Sitting around waiting for perfection is not going to happen. It doesn't exist. It certainly doesn't exist in the creative world. And so you just make it better. And I know we've heard that a bunch of times, but what I would like to do is tell you to take a small action. Do something small that moves you forward. Do something. Get out of your head and do. Take an action. It's 11:30 on Saturday night. In the marketing sense, if you've never heard of Seth Godin, Godin, I've talked about him on this show before. Everybody who's ever heard about, read much about marketing, you know Seth Godin. And Seth Godin calls this shipping your work. He says sometimes there is a point when you're developing, say, a product, and this is true of services or anything else. Sometimes there's a point where it's time to ship your work to the customer and see what they think about it. You just got to ship it. Now, that doesn't mean we want to be half-ass about stuff. It doesn't mean we're going to cut corners. It doesn't mean we don't care anymore. It means we have to move forward or you'll never grow a business. But here's the thing about the Lorne Michaels story and the Seth Godin thing, shipping your work or going on stage at 11:30, is remember those people that you look at, you compare yourself to, and you think they're so great and they're so perfect? If you talk to those people, I guarantee you, they will show you 28 things in that song that they thought were not perfect, or in that painting, or in that sculpture, or in that cake they decorated. I promise they will. They will look at that and go, there's 30 things in there I wish I could change. I saw a buddy the other day, co-owns a brew pub in my hometown called El Weirdo. It's an amazing brew pub. If you're ever in Panama City, you should go to El Weirdo. And I saw Tim Whaler, the co-owner, and I'm like, and they had just opened a few weeks before. And I was like, dude, that place is amazing. He goes, oh my God, there's like 28 things that I wish I could have gotten done before we opened. But you know what? It was opening day. Here's the secret though. I didn't notice any of those things. This is the dirty little secret of being paralyzed by inaction, is that most people don't even notice the mistakes that you and I see. You and I are looking at our work so closely. Nobody looks at our work as closely as we do. Nobody. So they don't see those things. And even if you don't tell them, they almost never notice them, or they never come up in the first place. So work as hard as you can to get better at your craft, to move along, to be top-notch, to be excellent. This is not an excuse to be less than excellent. But this is also not an excuse to sit around and not take action because you're waiting for perfection to happen. It's 11:30 on Saturday night, and it's time to go on stage. You can do it. I love you.